DanMachi is a show that me and almost everyone watched between the ages of 13 and 17 and thought,
by golly gosh, this is the bee's knees.
So I went back to rewatch it, excited to review an anime I once loved. But to my dismay, this was not the Holy Grail, but it was one of the many anime that suffered from the rose-tinted glasses of puberty. However, as it continued, the author dialed in, learned that women talk about more than just their boob sizes when they're together, and created a world I was invested in. Which is why this video is structured a bit differently. You'll be seeing each season through my perspective at the time of watching it to show how it subverted my expectations. So spoilers for DanMachi seasons 1 through 5, I will be skipping a lot. Gods came down to the lower world seeking excitement, so they sealed away their divine powers to come live among us. Like when a CEO goes to work at Subway for a day to endure the hardships of an underpaid teenager. These gods offer blessings which, if accepted, a human can become part of their familia. Now, you're probably flabbergasted by this strange word, familia? Lucky for you, I took 4 years of Spanish and like eating at Mexican restaurants, so I can translate this for you. It translates to family. I know, hold your applause. The blessings bestowed upon a human, well, let me put in Elden Ring terms. Gods are the finger maidens that level the foul tarnished up so that they can go into dungeons and slay creatures for currency. This is our main character, Bell, last name Crenell, and he is the only member of the Hestia Familia. Some men thirst, while others drown. At this point, Belle was everything I hate in a protagonist. There are two types of protagonist I do not enjoy being on my 85-inch OLED 4K TV, and those are heroic, dense, crybaby, nice guy protagonist and Shinji. Even if this isn't technically a harem anime because he does the rescue then friendzone technique, it still feels like one, which is why the protagonist either has this personality or the nonchalant dreadhead personality. Either way, the women will swarm to them. Even the female rabbit can't resist Belle's charms.
And can you blame him? Ooh-wee, look at that pretty thing. I bet I could sell you for a good pack of cigarettes in here.
Before Bell goes into a dungeon, let's listen to his grandfather's sage advice. I mean, I'm sure he could just ask a woman on a date. He has options. Are you talking about trauma bonding a woman into a relationship? Everyone knows not to bother a woman during her REM sleep. Besides, let's just let Bell pick up girls his own way. Go ahead, Bell. Alright, trauma bonding may be the only solution. While in the dungeon, he was saved by the level 6 sword princess Eyes, where he falls in love at first sight. Looks like he got trauma bonded. However, she's part of a different familia, which means they can never be together. To drown out his sorrows, he goes to a bar and look who it is. This begins what I call Belle's great plot armor of convenience and luck. Now, it's important to note, all main characters have plot armor to a certain extent, which they need for a story to be entertaining. But Bell has the plot armor of the gods. He goes to the same pub as Eyes after the raid. Small town, things like that happen. They start making fun of him behind his back. Boys will be boys, and it did happen that day. Who the fuck says that? And did he just run away crying? But I know what you're thinking. It's episode 1. It has to drop enough exposition to get the viewer to keep watching it. Also, his special ability is to grow stronger based off his feelings, and he has a knife that becomes stronger as the user becomes stronger. This is the nightmare fuel that wakes Miyazaki up in a cold sweat. In the next arc, Bell is recommended to get a supporter. Oh, what's that he just ran into? I'll get chased. Wow, Bell, sexism in the big 2025? What would your grandfather say? Never mind. Her name is Lily, and would you believe it, she's a supporter who joins Belle, but there's something off about her because she keeps evil smiling. She steals Belle's knife without him noticing. Luckily, one of Belle's mini gal pals, Ryu, gets it back. Now, there are two real options here. She could tell Belle that Lily stole the knife, or she could say nothing and let him get stabbed in the back again. She gives him back the knife without saying a thing. Just 6ix9ine, snitches get rewarded. Remember those people Belle protected Lily from earlier? Well, he runs into them again. Into the person who put his life on the line for a stranger. They say, "Hey, wanna rob this kid with us?" May as well go to the police and ask if they wanna rob a bank.
The former LAPD officer who was arrested for robbing a bank.
He of course declines the get-rich-quick scheme, and when Lily is like, "What did they want?" he says,
いや、大したことじゃないよ。
90% of the anime so far could be solved by having a civil conversation amongst friends. Why would he not say, "Hey, those guys are planning on jumping you, maybe carry a safety alarm keychain, I'm sure that'll help." I complained earlier about how most of Belle's personality is the hero who saves others, so it's not a matter of,
Oh, Lunarequinox is saying the solution with hindsight.
no, it's just not in his character to ignore someone that needs saving. But at least it wasn't that forced. That is, until these guys walk by eyes saying, and I shit you not,
その白髪のガキもそろそろアーデにってことですかい？
ああ、そうなりゃあとは読めてる。
Now, me personally, I wouldn't think a terrorist would walk through the TSA yelling out their plans, but these guys give me hope. Anyways, you know the deal. Lily betrays Belle, the Goon Squad betrays Lily, Eyes saves Belle, and Belle saves Lily, who, from this point forward, will be throwing herself at Belle. Some men thirst, while others drown. Belle is now level 2, leveling up faster than anyone ever, obtained a fire spell, and recruited a blacksmith to his team. While they're in a dungeon, a team of adventurers are being chased by a pack of monsters when they see Belle's team. This presents them with a moral dilemma. If they run around them, the monsters will attack Belle's group and they could die, but if they don't, they could die. This is a moral dilemma because how do you weigh the value of a human life? Is the life of your friends more valuable than multiple random people you never met? Hey, why don't you just say, "Run away, they're right behind us," as you're running so you all make it out? After fighting for their life, they end up on a lower safe floor. Oh look, it's Eyes. To end the season, there's a big boss battle with everyone in it. Oh, also Belle is Zeus's adoptive grandson, so that explains all the Harvey Weinstein-like suggestions. I think season 1 was okay. Nothing quite like what 16-year-old me thought, but 16-year-old me also thought bipolar was a bisexual polar bear, so what does he know? It did a great job at making dungeons interesting by showing different floors, monsters, and hunters of various levels. The difficult part about having a leveling system is that you don't want to make them too strong off the bat, otherwise you end up with a Anos Voldigold situation. But you also don't want him to be fighting goblins for 20 episodes. Settle down, Goblin Slayer, you can kill as many goblins for as many episodes as you want. DanMachi is known for a great many things, but the main thing is fan service. I thought that the fan service was good, but around halfway through the season, I got tired of it.
諦めるのは早いぜ。ベル君。
Pants to her boobs. How many times can one man fall into someone's boobs before he starts using his dick as a tripod to keep his balance? At this point, I didn't like the characters. Crybaby, Whiny, Aqua, Mute, Blacksmith dysfunction? Except Freya, who just sat up in her tower all season saying,
One day, Belle, last name Cornell, will be mine.
Probably has to say that from her tower due to her not being allowed within 100 feet of school zones. Wait, does that say he's 14? But my least favorite part was the attempt at foreshadowing. They would make people evil smirk, then 5 minutes later they would do something evil. Yet 16-year-old me was like, of course, I should have seen the signs, it's genius! As for my favorite moment of the season, it was when Belle defeated a Minotaur and then suddenly they were surrounded by a clapping crowd. For season 1, I'm feeling a light 7. Season 2 begins with Apollo challenging the Hestia family to a war game, which is a tournament between two familias. Apollo is doing this because he really likes stealing people's children. I guess some people do prefer to shop at Goodwill. The stakes are if Apollo wins, he gets Belle last name Cornell, and if Hestia wins, she gets whatever she wants. Hestia of course refuses. There's nothing for her to gain, instead choosing to pour out her love, confessing to Belle.
ベル君、君は僕のことをどう思ってる？ 尊敬しています。
The war game is on! This guy thinks there's more fish in the sea while looking at the whole aquarium! The blacksmith, Lily, Gravity Sword Woman, and Ryu all join the Hestia Familia team. The rules of the war game are simple. Each team has a commander, and whoever takes down the enemy commander wins. This woman is on Apollo's team, and for the rest of the series is going to cause me internal pain. You see, she has dreams that tell the future and says,
ダメ。あれを入れてしまったら。おい、待てったら。
Shut up. It's not like you can see the future. Wait.
After Belle's team Trojan horses into the camp, she says,
どうか聞いてください。お願いですから早くに。
Shut up. It's not like you can see the future. Wait.
The final fight lasted about 30 seconds. 5 episodes of build-up for that. I felt like I was at Disney World. Apollo gets banished and Hestia gets a new house. Yay! Next is the Red Light District arc, where Friend of Gravity Girl is supposedly working. This is bad because women empowerment didn't exist yet. So Belle, the responsible 14-year-old, heads there.
男をさらってきて、むさぼり食っちゃうの。しゃぶり尽くしてやるよ。生も子も突き果てるまでね。
Some men thirst, while others drown. He escapes, but is completely lost. I wonder if he's gonna end up exactly where he needs to be. Haruhime is essentially a slave that really likes heroes from stories, but she doesn't want to be rescued by a hero because she sees herself as unclean. Now she believes that the only men that will want her are 50-year-old Americans working in IT. The Ishtar Familia is the one that runs the Red Light District, and they hate Freya. When Ishtar discovers that Freya is obsessed with Belle, she decides to steal him. His plot armor somehow wrote himself into this arc even more. The Ishtar Familia plans to kill Haruhime to obtain her rare ability, so Belle puts on his theme music and goes to save her. Belle saves Haruhime, and Freya... When gods die, they return to heaven, never able to come back to this world. Panties were hung at half-mast that day. The final arc of Season 2 is the Forced Bonding arc. At this point, Hestia and Belle, last name Cornell, have less chemistry than Chocolate and Chip. Yeah, I'm about 90% certain that's not my son. Ares wants to abduct a god from the city where Hestia lives, which is difficult because gods aren't allowed outside the city. But what if someone asked Hestia to deliver potatoes? And what if Ganesha just happens to let her out? And what if, while being taken, she trips and falls? And what if Belle happens to save her but falls off too? And what if they end up at an old man's house? And what if the man recognizes Hestia as a god? And what if he fell in love with a goddess before? And what if she died, so he lived with regrets? And what if he told Belle to treasure his goddess before immediately dying to build their relationship? Not a good season. The fights were okay, but you'll never see them in a TikTok edit. I think this stems from them constantly doing 1 versus 100 fights instead of 1 versus 1. I don't think little Susie here is gonna be able to take down Belle. Not to mention the 30-second fight. Why was this done? This is because the first 3 seasons of DanMachi have gooner animators. The only time that the scenes look good is if there's a hot woman on screen. Like, do you really think that this woman's pants needed to be see-through at all times? Yes. Here's my challenge for you. I want you to find a single frame where Hestia's boobs don't shine. Every morning she gets a mini Mr. Miyagi to wax on, wax off those suckers. This season, all I thought was this show is at its best when they're in a dungeon. They didn't go in a dungeon all season. Also, I'm confused how the show is not dark enough to show death, but it is dark enough to show the sexual assault of a 14-year-old. This is not the role reversal in anime I wanted. But it did paint prostitutes in a positive light, which was cool world building.
Kind of crazy that anime went woke though. I knew I should have voted for Ganesha.
The dialogue was grating. If I have to hear Belle getting motivated one more time, or another line from Haruhime talking about how tainted her body is, I'm gonna lose it. We get it, you've been ran through, so has my microwave, but I still love it all the same. I've just been informed that she has in fact never been ran through because she passes out before anything happens every time. I should have known better than to believe that Japan would make a love interest not be a virgin. It was more of the same forced events, forgettable villains, and still no picking up girls in a dungeon. In a word, overrated. I'm feeling a strong 5. There's a monster girl in a dungeon that can speak, and Belle decides to save her and take her to the surface.
This is what Freeman warned us about. First they want to be friends, next thing you know your daughter's coming home with an ant boyfriend.
He takes her home, even naming her Weene, more like Wiener. Appeal to all age demographics, check. Belle's familia doesn't know about Weene being a monster until— oh no, is that a conveniently plot-developing shaped rock? Despite the familia being split about the dirty monstie, they get a mission from another god and skeleton to go explore part of the dungeon. There, they find a group of dirty ducking monsties who attack first. It's in their nature. But it was just to test them, where they tell Belle their dream is to live on the surface one day, probably to sell meth. They decide to leave Weene with her own kind because the world isn't ready for the knowledge that monsters can possess intelligence. While some of the monsties are exploring, a group of poachers attack them and start killing them all, which is probably the worst business strategy I've ever seen. Imagine you go to a zoo and it's all dead animals. Harambe?
安心しろ化け物。仲間外れにはしねえよ。
Oh, so surely they're gonna kill Weene. They killed everyone else. Nope, they only choose to capture her. Why? So she can sit in a castle waiting for Belle to rescue her, of course. Belle shows up to save her, but evil Steve Irwin takes away her stone, making her rampage on the surface where she's killed. No way! Is that magic that revives someone? And it's the first time the spell has ever worked? Here's the current situation. The Monster Mash crew are stuck on the surface and hiding, being hunted by different familias. So, they need to make it to the dungeon entrance to make it to safety. Belle is currently hated, since he took the fall for the monsties to keep their secret hidden. This is when Hermes, a god that's been helping Belle out since season 1, creates a plan to help them escape. But in the end, Hermes betrays the monsters, saying that this event forever tarnished Belle's reputation. And in order to fix it, 4 of the monsters must be killed in public by Belle to save his reputation, then the rest could return to the dungeon. This had me jumping for joy. If I was a dog, I probably would have pissed a little on the floor. Belle, last name Cornell, the hero, would be forced to kill some friends that we've known for a few episodes. Wait, is that a conveniently plot-saving shaped minotaur? This minotaur is the strongest of the monsties and the reincarnated minotaur from season 1. So now Belle... He beats Belle's ass and everyone escaped and nobody had to die. I hate myself for having hope. In my correct opinion, this was the worst season of DanMachi, but let's talk about the good first. This season added a lot of world building, showing how the dungeon was alive, having its own unique ecosystem, like how when monsters die, they're constantly reincarnated. The animators would lock in anytime there was a fight with the Minotaur. These fights far surpassed anything from previous seasons, which is surprising because sometimes there weren't even women in these fights. The animators grew up so fast! You've probably noticed that Belle doesn't kill people. Captain America kills people. Vending machines kill people. I can forgive characters like Luffy for not killing opponents every fight, but Belle, last name Cornell, uses a knife to fight. You may as well use a butter knife at this point. You know the big bad villain? You think Belle kills him? Of course not. The Minotaur does.
But learner, at least from your sped up events of what happened, it doesn't seem like there were too many forced plot development moments this season.
That's because I left them out. Let's go over them now. You have the classic overhearing a conversation which causes Weene to run away, but it's fine as long as she keeps her identity a secret. Is that a conveniently plot-advancing shaped girl standing under boxes that are about to fall on her? But it's fine, no biggie. But what if it happened again? Or when Belle is given a bag of stuff, what if one of the items just happens to be the key to the villain's lair? I'm feeling a week 5. Season 4 is separated into 2 parts and was what people had been telling me to wait for. I didn't believe those lying fucks. They also said that Hestia had screen time. They have a mission to go to the lower floors. However, the future-telling woman says they should cancel the mission. Shut up, it's not like you can see the future. Wait. When they make it to the lower floors, people keep saying,
見ての通り、落ちたらひとたまりもないから気をつけな。ここも落ちたら命に関わるから気をつけな。確かにこの速さでは、落ちたらあっという間に流されてしまいますね。
Man, I sure hope nobody falls. While exploring, they spot an injured adventurer. Oh, wait, that's not a woman. Leave him be, Belle. It's not called, is it wrong to pick up men in a dungeon, is it? Suddenly, they're attacked by a green moss monster, but for some reason, it retreats, almost like it's intelligent? But that's impossible, they all say together in unison after the previous arc. The moss monster infects those it hits, draining their energy, only fighting when it knows it can win. Finally, an adventure in a dungeon where someone could die at any moment, not some life-or-life situation fighting other humans. Bell, we just talked about this. He was saved by a mermaid, also he could have a heroic last-minute entrance to kill the monster and save the day. Solid arc. In fact, this was the first time I wrote down, I do not currently have any disdain for the main character. Ryu has been a side character in virtually every season, but she's remained a mystery. All we know about her is that she was once part of a familia that was led into a trap and everyone in her familia except her was killed. After this, she went out for revenge, killing everyone connected to the familia that eradicated hers. This led her to being blacklisted and changing her identity. However, there's currently a rumor going around that she killed another man. Did you not hear what I just said 3 sentences ago? The Hestia familia joins the manhunt for Ryu, but the future-telling woman says that's a bad idea. Shut up. It's not like you can see the future. Wait. When Bell, last name Cornell, runs into Ryu, he asks if she killed that man. This right here is the greatest moment in the entire show. I had zero faith in Bell that he wouldn't go, what you're doing is still wrong. The person she's currently trying to kill is a remnant of the group she eradicated earlier. His goal is to get revenge on Ryu by killing her the same way they killed her familia. When enough damage is done to the dungeon, it summons the Juggernaut to protect it. This is where one of the major flaws of the season is. For the next 30 minutes, they will sit around doing this.
Soon the Juggernaut will be here.
No.
And it will kill you.
No.
Then I will have my revenge.
No. Someone stab that man! When it arrives, it massacres everyone that doesn't have a name. The season ends with an injured Ryu and Bell escaping to the deep floors, which are far more dangerous. This season was great. It set up an actual antagonist that terrifies the audience. Nobody was scared of Timothy. Monsters Inc. wouldn't even hire him as a janitor. This was the first season where I started liking Bell. He was no longer annoying, and even if I dislike the hero character, he's at his best when he's put in a situation where he can be a hero. My enjoyment of the show increases drastically when they're in a dungeon, mostly because the situations feel more dangerous. I've been told by people that they hate this season because of how much Bell's plot armor saves him. Like when the Juggernaut arrives, Bell's plot armor suddenly weakens and he loses an arm, almost dying. Luckily, his plot armor locks back in and the magical mermaid saves him and reattaches his arm. Don't know how it healed him from drowning though. But in my opinion, if the story is good enough, I can ignore any plot armor, even the enemy snake that took them down to the deep floors to save them. There was still a lot of unnecessary yapping and other side character fights I honestly didn't care about, but not too much weighing the season down for me. I'm feeling a strong 8. Now in the deep floors, they're being chased by the Juggernaut. They have no choice but to keep moving forward. The creatures of these floors are overwhelming. A single battle left Bell incredibly injured, and Ryu looks like she could use some ibuprofen. But Bell can't leave Ryu. This is the first time that the hero character felt right, yet every glimmer of hope is quickly snuffed out. Bell has multiple breakdowns, and who wouldn't in this situation? Probably Komi. Their only chance of survival is to make it back to the higher floors. Eventually, they end up in a small, safe area where for the first time, the fan service works with the story. And for the first time, Bell has genuine chemistry with a girl. No more practicing on a scarecrow with boobs for Bell, last name Cornell. I used to pray for times like these. This man deserves to drown while I thirst. Before they can make it to the safe floor, they need to make it past the Juggernaut. That could have been worse?
これで帰れますね。僕たち。
私たちは帰れる。抱きしめてくれませんか?
After Ryu passes out, Bell puts on some plot armor and walks out to fight because he is that hero! More of a Windex man than an All Might, but he's still a hero. When Ryu does wake up, she's terrified to go out, hesitating out of fear from her past. But when she does, she's the one who delivers the final blow because this was her arc. You can tell how good this arc was to me just by the lack of jokes that were said, which is very difficult for me. Almost every problem I had with the season was fixed later with good writing. Ryu does one of the stupidest self-sacrifices after cucks, but it's good writing because that's what her familia did for her last time. The character writing was so good, making Ryu basically a failed version of Belle's hero persona. Such a dark season subverted the typical, look at us brushing our teeth, to dealing with PTSD and hyperthermia, ooh, dangerous. The fight scenes were also incredible, referencing moments from past fights. It might be because I was drowning in mediocrity for so long, but I'm feeling a strong 10. The Freya Familia hand-delivers a letter saying that their honored patron Seer, the waitress at the pub that's been flirting with Belle since episode 1, desperate, invites Belle, last name Crenelle, to the Goddess Festival, and the Freya Familia does not give him a choice if he wants to go. When the day of the festival comes,
確かめたかったんです。この気持ちが愛なのか、それとも。
guess that's what getting cucked for 4 seasons does to a woman. Ahem. Some men thirst, while others drown. When Belle rejects her, it's revealed that Seer has been Freya all along. This was one of the greatest plot twists in anime, even better than Toby being Sasuke in the future. There were clear signs that I definitely ignored because I didn't think the author had it in him. The necklace she gave Belle in season 2 that saved his life. Editing Lunar here, I was clearly too distracted thinking of other things, but not only does the necklace break, showing the Freya Familia crest, but Seer is also one of Freya's aliases in Norse mythology. Not to mention, the charming ability earlier, her obsession despite never really meeting him. He ain't gonna let you smash, lil' bro. Being a sore loser, Freya breaks the god's rules, enacting her goddess ability, altering the memories of everyone except Belle because he's the protagonist. What changed is that everyone except Belle now believes that Belle is a member of the Freya Familia. Luckily for Freya, this is probably the easiest gaslight of all time, because are you more likely to believe that you're a member of a goddess's familia with a goddess that's in love with you, or that you have a harem where everyone wants to sleep with you? Now, unless you're Michael B. Jordan, you probably chose the first one. Eventually, Hestia and Hermes break the spell, but because Freya is one of the top 3 guilds, they can't punish her. All they can do is challenge her to a war game. This war game is hide and seek, where when someone takes a god's flower, their familia is eliminated. During the final battle, one of Freya's familia betrays her for her own good and, oh no, there's only 1 episode left. They win and everyone forgives Freya and nothing of consequence happens because she's just a girl. This season was the amalgamation of all the buildup of Freya's character. My notes consist of saying, Freya's obsession is kind of weird and, hey, this maid woman seems kind of forced into the story. I'm still not sure if this is the greatest writing known to man, or I just watched too much DanMachi in a row. It did a good job of having a multitude of characters, all with stakes in the battle. Ryu because she was saved by Seer, Alan to protect his sister, and Belle because, God, he's just too hot. Women can't resist his middle school charm. Despite not being as strong, when the good guys won their fights, it didn't feel forced because they won by strategy and not by forced level ups. Let the record show, episode 12 Lunar wrote this, and it did not age well. I did have a few problems with the season. They keep trying to make Eyes work as love interest number 1 for 5 seasons, and for 5 seasons they have had 1 memorable moment. Don't even get me started on that sword oratoria propaganda. You can't change my memories like Freya can. There's only 1 best girl and 1 runner-up until DanMachi season 21 comes out, flushing out her character, making me like her. I still don't know why Belle is so obsessed with her. Like, brother, are you not thirsty? Take a sip of the Dasani instead of waiting for the Fiji. The Deus Ex Machina betrayal, as well as the extremely rushed final ending, took my score of the season down quite a bit too. However, the best part of the season was the outro. I like to listen to it on mute. For season 5, I'm feeling a strong 8. Character designs may have been heavily tied to fan service. Freya wakes up every morning and tapes her clothes on. And how could you forget about Hestia's boob string, which is very important for her, architecture. Every single female character has such good designs, just never ask about the background gods. I'm not really one to complain about fan service, and let's face it, if it wasn't for Hestia's existence, then we probably would have never watched it. In fact, I'll take it a step farther. Fujino Omori is the greatest investor of our generation. He got you hooked on the story by showing hot women to a young audience like dangling string in front of a cat. Then, as you grew up, he started adding more storytelling and character development. He had as much time to improve as it took you to grow up. He groomed us into liking DanMachi. We never had a chance to begin with. The author has said that the light novel is entering its final arc, so we may see the ending of DanMachi before my next upload. And I know I left out a lot of details due to the length of the video, like barely mentioning Hermes, the 3 great quests, or the only god to canonically have 2 elephant trunks. In conclusion, I hated DanMachi at first, until I didn't. Yeah, that was it. That was the whole thing. 0 out of 10. He barely picked up any girls in a dungeon. I'm feeling a 2 out of 10 for this video because it was very, very late. Shout out to my whale members, Frederick von Bettendorf and Shinku, last name 10. And don't forget to join my Discord if you want to yap. And click here to check out my most recent video, click here to check out my recommended video, and click here to check out my spam channel. See you in 2 months. Well, unless you join stream.